I quit a 300K job at 30. And here's the brutal truth.
Ooh, this is gonna be different.
Yes, sir. Howdy, Fi Guys. I quit, I quit my 300K finance job at 30 because I finally admitted to myself, more than anyone, that I hated it. And let me tell you, the lifestyle downgrade since then has been absolutely brutal. People assume that there's always some dramatic breaking point. Like, I flipped a conference table or I stormed out yelling, I'm better than this. Nope, none of that. It was quieter than that, almost boring. I promise the juicy stuff is coming. It was the slow, suffocating realization that every morning I put on a mask. I walk into a world that praised me, and I felt a little bit more like I was disappearing. 7 years of smiling through my teeth, grinding, convincing myself that golden handcuffs were still jewelry. Then one random Tuesday, between a portfolio review and a meeting about strategic synergy,
Oh, I hate
it hit
synergy
me.
stuff.
It's a bogus. It's garbage. It's garbage. I could either die a very wealthy version of miserable, or I could finally tell the truth. So I walked away. No fireworks, no epiphany, just a quiet surrender. Fast forward a few months, and I bought half of a 40-year-old family business and started building a Miami real estate portfolio. I'm sorry, Miami real estate platform, because apparently I like chaos and cortisol, the stress hormone. Both both websites literally were vibe coded by me with beginner level programming, which saved me like 100K, but cost me several years of my life. Fun. And I hope that's not actual most several years, probably, you know, excuse me. But here's the part nobody warned me about: a lifestyle freefall. I spent years telling myself I didn't become an entrepreneur because I wanted stability. Turns out what I really meant was I like Whole Foods without checking the price. I like spontaneous $200 sushi dinners. I like skiing every winter and pretending the lift ticket didn't cost a kidney. Now, the rug got yanked. One business is profitable, but tiny. The other startup is burning money like a scented candle. Marketing costs? Insane. Ads? Violent. Creative testing? Well, that feels like donating more money to Meta so that they can buy another yacht. Genuinely, I thought I was going to show up, hustle a little, and boom, growth. Delusional. Like, embarrassingly delusional. But the hardest part, the part that really hits my soul, is ignoring the headhunters. Every time the phone rings with we have a role for you at 350 comp, my nervous system lights up like Pavlov's dogs. I know I can go back. I know I can make money tomorrow, that's like, but that is the very life I crawled out of. Going back would feel like betraying the version of me who finally had the guts to leave. Then there's the identity crisis. Going from finance guy at a big fund, I'm going I'm building companies, does something to your ego. Women, this line cracks me up. I'm not gonna lie. Women used to nod with confident interest. Now they tilt their head like I might be having a midlife crisis 10 years too early. Damn. All right. I used to have clean narratives, successful, stable, impressive. Now I feel like a walking question mark. And honestly, some days I feel embarrassed. I didn't expect that. And I didn't expect how naked it feels to not have a shiny identity to hide behind. But here's the twist: I also have new respect for entrepreneurs, like deep respect, bone level respect. Because Because until you're the one staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., asking yourself, am I insane? Or is this how it's supposed to feel? You don't get it. You really don't. Anyway, my rant is over. And if you've read this far, I owe you a drink once I start making money again. Gotcha. I would love to hear from you two as you guys generally give great insights through this identity whiplash, this free fall from a high paying job into entrepreneurship. Does it get better? Does the anxiety ever chill out? Or is this just the admission price for building something real? Either way, thanks for listening. From left the grind, now losing my mind because I quit the cash, now I'm facing the crash. How about that? Well,
Oh,
that is a mailbag. Let
that
me
was a
tell you,
narrative, man. We went all
that
over
was
the place.
beautiful. Setting the standard for 2026. I love that.
At
Wow.
first, I thought it was going to be like, this is what it was like to leave a high paying job. Then it became, this is what it's like to be an entrepreneur. I mean, we jumped all over the place. I don't even know
I
where to
love it.
start on this one.
This is a beast of a mailbag. I mean, man, you have the temptation of the headhunters. You've got the guilt of starting something new and it not blowing up and being an ultra success. You know, the question marks, the midlife crisis, the money. I mean, there's so much in play here. Where do we even start? First, I want to see, like, if you guys have any ideas on where to start this one, please leave it in the comments down below. I would love to hear where you guys start and what you guys think this guy should do next. But we go to the expert, Chris. This is an insane one. Where do we start?
First thing I want to start with is like everyone's problems or the problem you have is still a problem. I know there's going to be people who are listening to this, and this is one of the nice things I like about the podcast is we do have quite a wide variety of people that listen. Right, this listener who making a bunch of money, like doing sounds like very financially well, or could be doing very financially well very quickly. And we have people that are like 60, $80,000 in debt. So we run this gamut. And I think so many people who might be on the opposite end of this spectrum, $100,000, $80,000 in debt would be like, man, I would kill to have this person. And yes, maybe his problems are objectively better problems. And that does not mean that they aren't still problems. And that's kind of cool to be able to realize that we're all suffering. We're all kind of going through this life confused, trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Before I get into my stuff, Dom, do you have anything else that maybe that prompted for you?
You know, one of the lines he said that I thought was so interesting was about how he was hiding behind status. And, when you start becoming successful, you start getting more money than you know what to do with it. And, like you said, he was praised at work. Women looked at him, right? They gave him the nod rather than the head tilt. Um, your ego starts to run rampant. And like Icarus, you're flying too close to the sun, brother. Um, but what I find so interesting about it is it almost felt like he believed he was invincible. He believed I can do anything. And while I believe that that is an important thing to have, to believe that you can do anything, right? But there's a point where it becomes unchecked. And when it becomes unchecked ego, that's when it can be really dangerous. And, the higher the climb, well, the harder the fall. And he was way up there on the mountain. And when he fell, man, he fell hard. And it looks like he's really trying to piece together you know, what's left. And I don't want to say he's shattered, but man, he's got a lot of pieces to put together and a lot of different issues that are making things worse, with the ego, with the self belief, with I, my identity. I'm someone who succeeds. I'm stable. I'm impressive. I'm successful. And now I've been reduced to ash. How does he, recover from this? And
Yeah.
we know he can, but how is the question?
Yeah. Well, let's try to help a little bit. I mean,
Yeah.
first off, to our listener, I want to thank you for your honesty. I think that most people would never admit that they hate the life they build, especially when that life pays extremely well. I mean, You walked away from a comfort that anyone else idealizes. And that takes a lot of guts that most people will, quite frankly, never have the access to go or never have that experience. So thank you for living that experience. You, when it comes down to leaving a job, you didn't just leave the job. You, to Dominic's point a second ago, you left an identity. And that's why this feels like you're in a free fall because you're not changing your career from a finance guy to an entrepreneur. You're redefining who you are when there's no fancy title to hide behind. Now you're just a guy trying to start a business rather than the finance person. And that quiet realization, that's that moment that is far more common than you think it is. That moment where you realize, like, what the hell am I doing? Especially like when you did that in your last role. Like I feel like for burnout, when you were in that finance role, it rarely comes with fireworks. It rarely comes with flipping the desk, you know, kicking somebody, it's storming out. It's this slow erosion of your alignment until one day, like your soul or some higher consciousness just taps you on the shoulder and says, like, hey, bro, we're done. Like, we're not playing this game anymore. So it's humbling. Like it's humbling to realize that you were in the wrong place and that you were able to do that. But it's also humbling that your lifestyle had to shift, and that shift is normal. When you've been operating on abundance for years, even small financial friction feels like you're a failure. But it's actually just you recalibrating to the reality of what is now, of what you've decided to shift to. You've decided to shift from a lot of money and the ability to say who you are easily to growing a life that you actually idealize, a life that you actually want. So you're grieving the loss of your old life, the sushi, the skiing, the confidence, and most likely the certainty. And grief doesn't just show up when people die. It shows up when identities die too. And you moved on to a new identity. So you're learning the part of entrepreneurship right now that nobody glamorizes, that nobody even talks about. Not the freedom, not the build your dream life, not the part where you spend money you don't have on problems you don't really understand, hoping that eventually something's going to work out for you. Every entrepreneur goes through this valley and it sucks. Most people don't talk about it. Most people just see the end goal, see what did come, and they're like, yeah, it was like this the whole time. It was all sunshine and rainbow. But that's not true. Your delusion as to what you thought things were going to be wasn't a flaw. It was the fuel for what you needed to do to quit the job to become an entrepreneur, to live the life that you thought you wanted and the life that it seems like you still want. If entrepreneurs knew how hard it was actually going to be, no one would start. Everyone would be, it's so much easier. Like naive optimism gets you in the door, but discipline and grit keeps you in the arena. I was recently watching this Taylor Swift documentary with my wife, right? And in the beginning of it opens with Taylor Swift talking to all of her dancers. And she's basically saying people that go into the entertainment industry, dancing, singing, everyone that you respect, everyone that you love tells you if you can do anything else, do that thing instead. Do literally anything else. Be an accountant, be anything. Can you work as a grocery boy rather than trying to be a dancer, rather than trying to be a successful singer or whatever, because the chances that you make it are infinitesimal. It's the exact same thing for entrepreneurship. I respect you for ignoring the headhunters. That's a real test. Walking away is one thing, but staying away from those golden handcuffs shows that you're backing up what it is that you want to do. That's an entirely different level of conviction in what you want. And that's got to be hard. And it's also very, very nice to know that if things really do get tough, you have that ability to go back into the arena. And if you do decide to go back into the arena, that doesn't mean that it's going to be forever. I really heard the thing about the women, like women don't care about my titles anymore. And I don't think women really ever did care about the titles. You cared about the titles and you had that confidence because you're able to say that you had this title. And that embarrassment that you feel right now, I'm building companies, that's just your ego grieving the status of what it had. The right person won't see less of you. They'll see that you're brave In fact, most people, when I say I'm an entrepreneur, they think that's really cool. And maybe it's just in my head that when I say I'm an entrepreneur, I think that's cool. But when you think that, oh, this is what losers do, then then you're going to create that feeling, that energy. And they're like, oh, well, he doesn't believe in it. So why should I? Right now, your nervous system is like in a detox from certainty. High pay, corporate job, predictable. And this entrepreneurship route is like a biological shock because the anxiety isn't a sign that you're failing. It's a sign that you're adapting to its new normal, the new normal that there is nothing normal in entrepreneurship. It's this constant up and down. And you're learning what real freedom actually costs. It's not the money, it's the willingness to rebuild yourself from zero with no guaranteed payoff. You're not insane, you're just early. Every entrepreneur has this phase where they question literally everything, every decision they ever made to get to this point. And the ones that quit never get to see the payoff. The ones who stay eventually realize the discomfort was the tuition, was the entry fee to play the game. Your respect for entrepreneurs is the correct takeaway. You've entered a world where people fight battles silently every single day. So from Dominic and I, like, welcome to the freaking club.
Yeah.
It's gonna suck. It just is. And when you get to look back on it, hopefully in a few years, you're gonna say, like, it was all worth it to get here. Because identity whiplash, whenever we make a change in life, it's unavoidable. The key to this is that you don't try to resurrect your old identity. You build a new one intentionally, one that isn't tied to your compensation, one that isn't tied to your status, one that isn't tied to your title, but one that is competent, courageous, and authentic to who you are as a person. So, does it get better to be an entrepreneur? Yes, it gets better. Once you stop comparing your new self to your old self, that is the real psychological pivot. When you stop measuring success on the old metrics that you used to and start measuring it based off of who you are and where you want to go, your nervous system will finally be able to catch up. The story that you've told thus far from what we've read, like, that is not a failure arc. It's a chapter of someone who is like in the middle of that moment, kind of in the dark forest, and stories never end in that dark forest. You're in that messy middle. So just keep going because no one becomes the person they're proud of without passing through this stage, without going through the shit. And you're going to make it through it because you've already proven the ability to succeed in other domains. You're going to take that and move it to this domain. That's all I got.
Yeah. I mean, like they say, most purpose is more burden than glory. And starting a business, starting over, reinventing yourself, it sucks. And the anxiety doesn't really go away. It's not psychological or it's not philosophical, it's biological, right? And it can stabilize. It
I think you
can
just get used to
stabilize.
it. I think you just
Yeah.
get used to it.
Yeah. Um, and you know, every real entrepreneur has had that loss of status, right? That loss of certainty, loss of comfort, and and the temporary, like he's going through the temporary identity collapse, crisis, whatever you want to call it. Um, and it's kind of weird in our society. Um, you almost there. I've seen both heads of the coin, but where some people are like, oh, they glorify when people look at entrepreneurs, they glorify it, and some people are like, so you don't have a job, So it at the end of the day, if people's opinions really matter, that's up to you, right? You give power where you give power, right? So you can control your own destiny with that. But like you said, Chris, staring up at the ceiling, anxiety, stress, uncertainty, it's the price of admission, buddy. It's the price of admission for building anything real or building anything great. And there's no guarantee that it will work out. And you have to be okay with that. And that's what makes entrepreneurs so crazy, so psycho. I mean, where else are you going to find these crazy guys? So, or gals. Um, yeah, that's my take. I don't have anything else.
Yeah, no, neither do I. So thank you so much for writing in. You got this, man. You're just in it. And
Welcome to the club.
Sometimes you can just admit, hey, I'm in it. It sucks. This is the season I'm in, and I can make the season go faster by working through it quicker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get on to
And,
win of the
and
week.
and enjoy the suck. I haven't said that
Embrace
in
it.
a long time. Embrace the suck. Yeah, enjoy the suck might be a little bit. It's
Yep.
from a Jocko book. Calm down, comments. Calm down.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the hosts and guests, not the podcast sponsor.
It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.